All right. Welcome back to another post game pod for the Philadelphia Eagles on the Behind the Back podcast feed. I am your host, Marcos Conan Negron. And I'm here coming off of an Eagles loss where they lost pretty handily on the road to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 33-16 in a game that for a while there almost felt like it was over before it even started. And, I'm just this one won't take long, this post game, because it just felt like a day where everything was just kind of going wrong. We weren't executing properly. The weather down there was taking its toll. On the field, it was over 100 degrees the whole time, and you can tell guys were just dropping like flies. They were cramping up. It's just, at the end of the day, it's a really hard environment to go into and win a football game on the road. And I thought the Buccaneers defense did a really good job of just stifling this Eagles offense early, and Jalen wasn't getting anything going. This offense wasn't getting anything going. And, before you know it, it's 21-0 at the end of the first quarter. And it just felt like it all happened all at once. And, that happened. The defense, Baker Mayfield was just out there slicing and dicing. They were getting the ball out quick, trying to mitigate the pass rush. And they were taking care of business. Baker finished 30 of 47 for 347 yards and 2 touchdowns and 1 on the ground too. So it just kind of felt like a day where Baker was in a rhythm and they were just, bit by bit by bit, taking first downs and extending drives, and the Eagles were getting bad penalties and shooting themselves in the foot. It just, the Eagles again have gotten away with playing poorly and making mistakes and turning the ball over. And this one was just one of those days where you needed to play better and to keep up. And the Buccaneers made use of the opportunities they were given. And listen, when it was 21-0, there was when the Eagles got down 24-7, when they made that run at the end of the second quarter to get points on the board, it didn't feel totally out of reach. It felt like the momentum was there. Honestly, the only reason we were in this game was because Saquon Barkley is just, a superhuman, and he was able to peel off another 60-yard run right there in the third to really just get us set up for that second touchdown to bring us within 10. There was a legitimate chance in this game. And even when they scored that touchdown, we got that block extra point, which Keeley was able to turn into a super nice play for 2 points there. So we were down 2 touchdowns midway through the third, and there was still real chance that we could come back and, really make this a game. And honestly, by the end of the day, you could just tell these guys were worn out. Jalen was getting pressured all day. He got sacked 6 times. That Bucs front just did an awesome job getting pressure on Jalen, and they forced him to fumble twice. And, he didn't throw an interception today, but he lost 2 fumbles. It's hard to navigate that when Jalen just had no rhythm. He's playing with guys, practice squad guys and third stringers, that they're just not AJ and Devontae. And Saquon and Goddard did all they could. I mean, Saquon finished with 10 carries, 84 yards, and Dallas Goedert had 7 catches for 62 yards. And that was the bulk of the offense. Like, they did a great job containing Jalen. He wasn't much of a threat on the ground. And he never looked confident. He didn't look good at all today. So this was tough. This was a tough one to watch. It was a tough one to have to sit through and realize, they were kind of just drained, and with all the injuries and everything, this is a team that I also think, because they won last week, felt like, okay, everyone in this league, like, we can handle being 2-2 right now, given, the state of our team without AJ and Devontae and Lane Johnson offensively. Like, they struggled, and that's what happens when you lose 3 out of your 5 best offensive starters. So you could definitely feel the impact in this game, and Jalen just never looked comfortable. His timing was off with everybody. And, at the end of the day, in those situations, you got to play better. But, that's just, it was just one of those days where it wasn't just Jalen. When the defense had the opportunity, they made a couple stops, Jalen couldn't capitalize. And then all of a sudden we have a bad special teams play. Like, it was just, that happened multiple times today. Like, it just seemed like mistakes were coming in waves. And it was just, this game the Eagles just never got a rhythm at all in this game. A few things I like to highlight, like Brandon Graham got a sack today. That he's out there performing better than any of our defensive linemen, at age 36. So it's interesting. I was happy for him, he's still making an impact, and that's something that we're going to continue to need as the season goes on. But you could just tell with this heat, it was over 100 degrees on the field the entire time. Guys were cramping up. Everyone was having a hard time staying on the field. Guys left this game. The rhythm was just disrupted this whole time. It was an ugly game, and there really isn't much, either way, offensively and defensively, that you could take away from this game and say, okay, this is what we can build off of. It was just one of those games where it felt like we were getting punched from start to finish, and we were able to have a little bit of a response, but it never really, hit home. So, this was a tough loss for a team that looked like they were ready for the bye week. They wanted to get out of the heat, and they get to enter this bye week with, there's definitely questions, but this team has been plagued, like many other teams have been plagued, with injuries to their best guys. And, it's hard to grade this team, early on in the first quarter of the season when their nucleus, this crew that was supposed to all play together, has just been limited to Saquon and Dallas Goedert and Jalen Hurts. So hopefully this bye, our stars come back, Lane Johnson, AJ, and Devontae offensively, and we can really try and find a rhythm with everyone healthy and see just how dynamic this offense really can be when the team can't just prepare for Saquon to be the only source of offense. At the end of the day, I think they had a great plan against our defense with getting the ball out as, super quick, and Baker just executed today, and I just thought they did a really good job chipping away. And the Eagles had good moments defensively. They were able to generate pressure at times. But again, you could just tell the heat was getting to everybody, and it was a difficult environment. And listen, last week was a huge win, and I think especially given this loss, it puts us in a position where, okay, we were hoping to split one of these last 2 weeks following the Falcons loss going into the bye week. You didn't want to enter this bye week 1-3. You're at least 2-2. You're in a spot that a lot of other teams are. And that's something that you can still build off of, and guys can get healthy, and hopefully we can come back to as close as full strength as possible, and we'll be rested against some of these teams where we can make a push up in the standings. And that's the way we have to approach it. I was against the early bye going into the season, but it worked out that this could be best timing possible given all the weapons that are out. So hopefully everyone comes back healthy after next week, and we can start to really develop a rhythm. But when it comes to takeaways and game balls, like, this was tough. Like, the game balls I could give out would probably, to Saquon for at least, putting this team on his back like he has been all year and still producing no matter how hard it was out there. And I think he's kind of the only one who really played consistently and played well. But it was just one of those kind of games. But we're 2-2. We're entering the bye week. We get a much needed rest. So hopefully this team will recover and bounce back from it was just one of those losses. That's it. But we'll see what happens. I'm excited. There's a lot of good to be taken from this first quarter of the season. And despite all the negativity, we're still 2-2. We're going to hang in there. So we'll see what happens when the Eagles take the field against Cleveland after the bye. All right, y'all. My name is Marcos Conan. You can hit us up at behindthebackpod13@gmail.com. Hit us up on all of our social medias. The links to the descriptions are down below. And please, Ben and I will be talking football, talking basketball this week because of the Eagles bye. But, I'm going to figure out what I've liked from this team and, what can improve. And I'll talk about that as we go into next week. So I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.